Hello, am I audible ba?
Yes, Pia, you are very much audible.
Okay, thank you, Shia. So, we're gonna start na the workshop. Okay, a pleasant afternoon to our dearest BCISM Carolinians. Have you guys eaten a ba?
Me, Pia, I haven't eaten pa.
Oh my God, Shia! Go eat first. Ikaw na day si Jay. Sige,
O
nice.
sana all ni kaon na
Wait first,
uli.
Shia. Wait first, Shia. We'll start the program once you're done eating. Without joker, guys. For those who haven't taken their lunch, you may eat while watching the program. Please don't skip meals, kay maka-ulcer na guys, and the hospital bills are very expensive. I care for you guys, Bia.
Char pa fall mang kape. Uy.
Ayun. Okay, enough with the cringy sweet talks. Before we start in the actual program, let us start with a prayer.
So let us all put ourselves in the holy presence of God as we all say in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Father God, we gather here today under your care and protection. Thank you for your loving kindness that never fails us. We thank you for those with us, that you would guide our thoughts and actions to bring your glory. Strengthen us and fill us with your peace. Amen.
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 Good afternoon once again, everyone. How is everyone feeling today? Aram mo ka siya, guys. Hindi ako mamaak. Come on. Okay
Go,
ra ba
guys.
mo?
How are you,
Oh,
guys?
dapat makita akong answer
Ala.
to make sure that you're okay. Uh, nice.
Kundi daw mo
Good, good.
ma-reply, guys.
Your
Kay
answer ba?
mamaak jud daw si Tia.
Dito ay si Shia na siya.
Oy,
Butan
ay,
naman ko, guys.
buotan man sad ko, guys. Di mo ko parhan ni Tia.
Mm. Okay. No. Okay. We're almost at the end of the semester and year. Maybe everyone's rushing now to Christmas break because mafeel na jud ang Christmas vibes with Jose Marie Chan's songs playing, which is, for me, makabalo na jud, sakit na jud kayo sa ears.
More
Anyways,
good.
I hope everyone is prepared for this productive afternoon. I am Pia Lorraine Dinapoltantay, PLDT for short, a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science first year ambassador.
And I am Aisha Jude the Diaz, or Shea for short, a BS Information Technology first year ambassador. And we will be your host for today. Did you know, Pia, that it's no secret that the best thing about a secret is secretly telling someone your secret, thereby secretly adding another secret to their secret collection of secrets secretly? So, here's our secret for today. We welcome you to Figma, the secret formula for the perfect website workshop. I'm sure you guys are familiar with UI and UX, right? Or maybe you guys don't since you're here in the workshop to learn all about it. So, let me give you a brief information on UI and UX.
UX or UI design is the process of making the experience of the users on an application as rich, smooth, and practical as possible. UX stands for user experience and UI stands for user interface. But bear in mind that these two aren't the same. UX tends to focus on the flow of the application, like does the navigation on the app feel logical? Or is it the overall user experience simple and pleasant? While UI boils down to how the application looks. This includes transitions, interface animations, graphical locations of components, and more.
We have here a few examples of a good and bad UI. For our first example, what do you think makes the left side a bad UI man kuno, guys? Comment down why do you think it's a bad UI if you have any idea. Wala. Wala. Okay.
Come on guys, don't be shy.
Module, don't be shy. Similar buttons but different functions. Mm, contrasting colors, daghang blue bato. So, ano ni siya, guys? So, as you can see, the primary and secondary buttons are very similar to each other. It is important to use different visual weights for both buttons for it to be identifiable. On the right side, you can see that it is the improved version of the UI. You see it's very different, no? Diba? Okay. So, for our second example, what do you think is wrong with this one? Is there something wrong with it ba? Or wala lang? And, and saman guys? Font too small, font size. Okay, correct. Everyone is very good. Kibaw lagi mo guys. Nag-study mo no? So, this UI design is correct. What you have answered is correct. The UI design is lacking in terms of text hierarchy. Text are the primary unit of the informational content, which is why it should be legible and organized. It will also make the information hierarchy more visible and clearer to understand. And on the right side is the improved version of the UI. Ka-bright mo jud, sakto jud na Kuya Wayne, mga bright jud kay sila. So, for our third and last example, what do you think is wrong about the icons on the left? What do you think man, guys? Different art styles? Okay. Anything else nga na-notice ninyo? Wala na? If wala na, sige. Dili uniform, not uniform, inconsistent. Okay. So, correct mode, guys. There is an inconsistency in terms of the icon style. Did you know that proper iconography also needs to be considered because icons are also a fundamental part of modern interfaces, especially on mobiles where icons are the equivalent of buttons. And on the right side, as you can see, it is the improved version niya. Okay. Wow, mga bright man mo guys. Uy, nag-study mo? So, before we go to the speakers, let us have a quick survey of our audience. Who has any background or has used Figma before? Please type in the chat space a 1 if yes and 0 if no. Sige, go guys. 0, 1. Uy, 1, 1, 0, 0. I can see a lot of zeros. 0. 0.5. Okay, 0. So guys, dili mo mabalaka if you know or dili because for those who have no idea what Figma is, today is your lucky day.
So before we get to Figma, let us first introduce to you our two speakers for today. Ate Hannah Ruz Labana, a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science third-year student and Cisco's Public Relations Officer. And Kuya Edwin Bartlett, Bachelor of Science in Information Technology, third-year student and Cisco's Vice President of Information.
And for our first topic for today would be the basics of Figma, creating a login screen. A round of applause, please, or a virtual round of applause, please. Woohoo!
Give me a bit lang to set up some stuff lang ha. Kalit lang, give me a bit.
So, guys, ready na mo learn, guys? Ready na mo to learn what Figma can bring to you or can help you? Yes, okay. Very good. Sige, we'll give the floor to Ate Hannah na. Yay!
Thank you so much, Shreya and Pia. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm honestly very nervous right now, so I'd really appreciate if everyone participates and interacts with me as I discuss. Kaya it would really give a boost of confidence and energy lang for me. Okay, so again, good afternoon, everyone. I am Hannah. Together with me is Edwin, or his nickname Ted, and we will walk through everyone with Figma, a very powerful collaborative web application for interface design. So first, welcome to the workshop and welcome to Figma. Its primary purpose is really for UI UX design, but there are also professionals who use this platform for simple graphic design. So personally, for me, I have been practicing graphic design for a few years, and it has been an extremely easy transition for me to shift from graphic design to UI UX. So just like what the MC said earlier, I'll just give a quick review. UI, or user interface, is basically what the user sees on the screen, like the layout of elements like the text, buttons, shapes that they see on their devices. Meanwhile, UX, or user experience, is how they interact with the elements. So basically, this is how easy it is for the users to navigate through the screens. And okay, Rakadira Wayne. And what happens when you click or hover that element? So if we all direct our eyes to my screen right now, okay, this is basically the here at the center is basically the canvas of Figma. So this is basically where we design. So this is where the magic happens. So here on the left side of the screen is the layers part. So this is basically where you see all the elements on the canvas. So right when you enter Figma, kay, this is supposed to be empty ang kaning mga layers na side, but since we prepared stuff for you, kay, it's kind of full and looks messy right now. And then also here is the assets, where you basically see all the components, and there are also pages. Like you can have multiple canvases man here on Figma. So if you direct your eyes na to the right, that is the design or properties panel. Then the prototype, this is basically where you manipulate the interactions, or like what happens when this user does this or that. And then the inspect, which is very useful or helpful for developers when they code. So let's go on to the actual content on the basics of Figma. So I just made the Figma a bit interactive for everyone. So let's just follow the arrow, and then I'll zoom a bit. Okay, so our first topic for this afternoon are frames. So these frames are container for your designs. So if you've used design platforms before, like Adobe Illustrator, Canvas, or even Photoshop, frames have the same concepts as artboards. So if you're designing user interfaces, frames act as representations of screens. So please don't use shapes or rectangles to act as your screens. This may be obvious to some, but I work with people who use shapes like the rectangles as screens. So please avoid that and instead use frames, because that's the correct way, Judd. So if you look here in the upper right, okay, this is basically the frames icon. This one, the one that I just clicked. I hope my cursor is visible right to everyone. I'm circling the icon for frames right now. So right when you click it, wait, this one. So right when you click it, kay the right panel changes na. So basically what you see here, kay it shows you pre-formatted frames for different screens. So there are pre-formatted frames for phones, for tablets, for desktops, even for presentation or PowerPoint slides, and there's even for Apple Watches. So I basically just got some from here, mga pre-formatted frames, and then I just drag it here. So it's basically like you just click that, and then murag mo siya. So if you don't know the size or the dimensions of the screen that you're designing for, then you can refer to the pre-formatted frames on the right. So however, for me, kay murag pinapabida man ko gamay, kay I use custom frame sizes when I design web interfaces. So the pre-formatted frame here for like desktop then sa web, kay it doesn't look too right for me like when I design. So I experimented with the dimensions like the width and the height. or basically the size to find the perfect snug fit when designing screens for web. So as we go through, or like as we explore through the features of Figma, it would be best for us, like it would be, we would learn more if we see how the features actually work, right? Instead of just discussing or explaining it to everyone. So as we discuss it, Kai, I have like some small stops here, or like small tasks or quests. And then we'll basically at the end, Kai, we'll create a login screen, or basically just a mini system. So for our first task, I will be creating the frame of the login screen, and we'll be using my secret custom size. Actually, di yun yung secret, but then like, ako alang jud di like, ako alang jud ni nga custom size, and it works for me and the people I work with. Like this is applicable for Microsoft Edge and Google Chrome. So I'll create another screen right now. I'm just gonna make a random size frame. Kay I'm gonna change man the dimensions. So you can change the dimensions here. Here, oh, there's W for width and then H for height. So I place the dimensions of my custom size here. So I'm gonna change the width to 1920, and then the height will have a very specific value of 969 pixels. Okay, so I just want to remind everyone, Kai, the value of the height is only applicable if the size you're designing has a snug or perfect fit to the user screen. Like for example, you're designing a screen where the user does not have to scroll, or the content you need them to see doesn't require them to go down or scroll down the screen. So 969 pixels is the perfect value for the height. So for example, when you create a new tab, kaya diba you don't scroll down, like there's no content down. So 969 pixels would be the perfect value for its height. However, if you have content below, like example in Facebook, diba, like where you can makascroll man kasi mong newsfeed because there's a lot of content, nga never-ending content na siya sa Facebook. Kaya the height won't matter much. So you can extend your height to how long your content is, Rajod. Okay, so ang 969, ang snug fit Rajod na if you don't want them to scroll. So yeah, that's it for frames, and we successfully created the first task, which is very easy, just creating a frame, Rajod. So I hope uh good, Zra, like so far. Was everyone able to get the concept of frames? Confirmation lang please sa chat kay para I know nga, dili ra sad ako nakasabot. Okay ra? Sige. Sige. Okay, we'll move on to the next part and I'll just follow the arrows. Okay. So, so the next part is our layout grids. So layout grids are properties of frames. So if you're using shapes for your screens, like the rectangles, then you won't be able to access this feature because layout grids are only is an exclusive feature or property to frames. So layout grids gives visual structure of your screen, and it assists in the precise placement and alignment of all your elements, or like all the elements within your screen. So if you click on the frame that I just placed there, daan, kaya the right side will change. It's basically the one nga akong gi-change katong nasa width and height. This is basically the properties of the frame that you're clicking right now. And then if you see here, if you follow my cursor, okay, there's the layout grid and then a plus. So you just need to click the plus sign. So right when you press it, na siya changes diretso, diba? Like you see a grid, there's like small siya. And then it actually has like a default size now, which is 8. But you can actually change the size. So you just have to click this, kani, and you can change the size. So for example, I'll make it 50. Ang mga squares kay ni dako sad, like ang sa size as grids kay ni dako sad. So pwede sa di mo ma-change ang color, and you can also manipulate its opacity or visibility. And then if you click here sa kani, you can also see that there are different views of grids. Nasa siya columns, and then nasa siya rows. So when you compared sa grid, kaya ang mga columns and sa rows, kaya there are more properties that you can tinker with which are like the size of the column. Wait, give me a bit. Okay, if stretch siya, kaya you cannot, it's auto to the width of your screen. But then if imo siyang i-left, right, center, kaya you can manipulate the width of the columns. And then kaning offset, if you offset it, kaya you can see offset is basically the, since it's left man here, it's basically murag siya margin before the column start. And then the gutter is the space. I think I have my description here. Gutter is the space between the rows or columns. So, si karon kay it's 20 man. If I increase it to, for example, kay para it's very visible nga what is a gutter jud. Mo na awan ni dako ang space between the columns, okay? So, get so far na ay three types of grids, layout grids, which are the grids, columns, and the rows. And then, pwede siya ma-left, pwede siya ma-center, and pwede siya ma-left aligned. Okay? So, our task number two for, our quest number two for layout grids is basically to create a login box with login elements. So, as you can see, as what I've already, wait, give me a bit. So we'll see the layout grids in action. So I designed this screen beforehand, and as you can see, it's possible to have multiple layers of layout grids. Kaya na siya yung rows, na po siya yung columns. So this is so that the placement of the elements are more precise. So if you see here, kaya na siya ang layout grids, kaya it's only here sa layout box, di ba? It's because ang layout box, it's not a rectangle. I made it into a frame, kaya para naa siya layout grid. And then, you can add multiple layout grids or layer layout grids by just clicking the plus sign multiple times, like awa. It gets clearer, no, because it's opacity, ang opacity niya kay 10, pero as it layers kay magka-deep ang iyang opacity, so it's more visible na. So it's also important to know that you don't have to strictly follow the grids. Like your elements need to be like dili siya, it's not necessary that your elements are in the kanang overlapping red areas ra. Like you don't need, just treat the layout grids as rulers or guides so that you can see the alignment of your elements. So as you can see here sa design, kay it's not that like the elements, for example sa kaning input field, kay it's not that nga kailangan siya mo start jud sa kaning nga row, and then the next element kay sa next row na siya, dili jud. Like you don't need to see layout grids as like the absolute law for your alignment and your placements. Mura dyan siya guide kay awa with the kaning sa welcome, kay it's aligned here sa top sa first row, and then ang kani kay label here sa text sa input field, kay it's in this row, while this one kay sa end na siya sa kaning third row. So it's really just treat them as a guide lang dyan, and then don't make it the absolute rule for the placement of your elements. Okay? Sige, so the next part, okay, we're done with layout grids. Kay, we'll follow lang the arrows. Because the next part, kay, I really consider this as really, really important, and they are components. I think this feature is one of the core and most powerful functions available here on Figma. Because diba, when we view or create websites, systems, kay we always have elements that are repetitive or are always present. So diba, like throughout all the websites we see, kay we always see buttons, we always see text or input fields. Diba, that's always present. So when designing them, kay if when the situation arises nga you need to create those elements, kay it would be such a hassle, or like you're wasting so much time if you always need to make those elements from scratch. So this is where components come in, because this is for repetitive elements throughout screens, and this allows for reusability, and it also maintains consistency of designs. Okay, so I think it's better if I show it to you guys or demonstrate it instead of just explaining it to you guys in words. So what I'm gonna do right now is that I'm gonna create a button. Kay, 'di ba? Just as I said earlier, kay buttons are very common, like a very common feature on all throughout all systems should not. So I'll just design it a little bit. I'm gonna make this feature or like this property is corner radius. So I'm just gonna design it a bit kaya para it looks presentable sa no like dili batig na ang ato sa kay para it's also pleasing to the eye of the user. So ang mga buttons kay di ba usually kay naman jud na siya yung mga text. I'm gonna make I'm gonna put a text para visible sa siya ako sa siya padako and para na siya contrast kay ako siya i-white. This is I hope you guys are seeing lang sad nga observing how I'm using the properties that I'm not explaining kaayo. But yeah, I think after this workshop, I hope you guys will also explore the features, especially sa properties. Okay? So I can kay karon kamrag di pa kay ko sure nga kung na ba siya sa middle. So I'm just gonna align it. You can align it here. Kani ay sa right sa top. Okay? Yeah, okay. Okay na siya. It's pleasing na to me right now. Okay, so what we have right now, okay, it's just a rectangle and a text. So I'm gonna make it into a component na. So I know three ways to make a group of elements components. So first is that you'll highlight this. You'll highlight the group of elements you want to be a component, and you can make it a component by clicking this here at the top. Oh, it says create component. Another method is you right click the elements and then click create component here. And then the third method is the shortcut, but I don't usually use shortcuts, sorry. So I'll just click create component, okay? So right when I click the create component, kay there are already changes that are visible. So marag na siya outline and also the text or like the label, kay it's now violet or purple. So this is basically the color for components. And if you see here or in the layers panel, kay it's like a diamond with four inner diamonds. So this is what we call a master component. So I think it's a good analogy for master components are ang atong parents. So wait, before I continue that thought, kay I'll name this as button kay muratag let's be organized daw, okay? So this what we just created is a master component and ang katong analogy na ko katong parent. So just like at least most parents kay they can bear children. The technical term for children here on sa master components kay they are called instances. So okay, there are two ways nga I know nga you can create children of the or instances of the master component. You can either copy paste it. So I'm just control C, control V, and then here. Oh, as you can see, kay wala siya ang label. And then if you also see sa layer nga panels, I hope it's really visible kay it's kind of small sad. So I hope nga it's really visible lang to everyone. Kay here's what we just copy pasted. Kay the icon is just an outlined diamond. That's basically the symbol for an instance or a child of the master component. So, and another way, so di ba I said two methods nga I currently know. So another way nga you can make children sa katong master components is by clicking the assets, di ba? This one, it's just beside the layers. If you follow my cursor, click assets, and then you see local components. And then it's here, ang katong master component is this one. So what you just do is just you click and then you drag them to the canvas. So yeah, what you just did right now, you created two children or two instances of the master component or the parent component. So what's the use of components? Unsa man yung gamit, unsa mang difference ani sa children and sa instances ug sa master component or the parent. So if you check here, if you click the master component, kay I'll click the fill. This is kaning blue. Okay, diba? The background is blue. If I move it here, kay if you also observe the instances, di ba ni change yung color sad? Oh, if I change it to green, kaya para it's more visible ang change. Basically, whatever happens in the master component, whatever changes you'll do will also be applied in the instances. It will be also applied to its children. So for example, ang kaning, I'll revert it back to blue ha kay blue is objectively prettier for me. Okay, so ang kaning the text, the button text, if I move it, it will also move in the children. So that's really the module ng power of components. That's why nga it's reusable because you can change like properties of multiple components or elements just like you don't have to do it kausa-usa. You can change everything as long as as long as it's an instance of the master component at once. But then just like how kaning mga changes sa master component, kaya there are also properties that can be overridden in children. So, like, it's so weird nga, like, ang button kay kani, so, button na lang siya, sige. Like, weird siya nga ang text, kay button lang siya, sige. So, there are actually properties that can be overridden. And they are the following, kaning text, fill, stroke, effects, and bounding box. So, text is basically ang text, ang words. So instead of button, you can have like a button, for example, atong login ganina, you can have a login button. And then, you can also change the fill and stroke. So fill is basically the color. Kana. So as you can see, whatever you change on the child or in the instance, it won't affect the master component. Because just like what we discussed, kani children na siya, instance na siya, dili siya ang base component. Dili jud ni siya ma-affect ang master component. If bisan unsang mahitabo sa children, it won't affect the parent, okay? And then you can also add effects. Ang effects kay mauna siya ang drop box. Like you can add a shadow if you see it right now. And then the bounding box is basically the container of the element. So for example, kani. But then in the same way, there are properties that can be overridden. There are also properties that cannot be overridden sa children. So ang kaning size, di ba? Ingon man ka ate nga, ay joke, dili atin lang. Ingon man ka hana nga, ang bounding box kay ay di ba gi-change to na to ang size is actually not size, bounding box siya na siya, or like just think of bounding box as containers. It's not the actual size of the elements. Ang what we mean sa size kay here, if you look at the base component or the master component, kay you can change nimo ang width and height, no, and then mo affect sa yung mga instances. But here, sa instance niya, you can't change it. It's disabled here sa right, unsa na, nga panel. Ang iyang position, di ba, we were able to change nga asa ang placement sa... Sorry, Ted. Okay, whatever, Ted. So you can change like the position here if master component. But here sa mura siyang template based, ay joke, sa kana nang sa master component, no, sorry Wayne, dugay ko kabasa. But ang position here sa instance, you can't change it. You can change the whole element, but then you can't change the position of the elements inside already sa instances. And there are also other properties that you can discover yourself. Ang kanang dili jud mo ma-change, okay? So, organizing components. So as you continue designing your system or like your screens, you'll create more components jud kay for usability, di ba? So it's better jud if you group components according to its type. So I forgot there like one important thing. So diba, I said nga there are properties that cannot be overridden. So example nga like you're very persistent jud nga you really wanna change nga asa ang placement sa kanang text. So I'll just create an instance right now. I'm duplicating it ra. How I did it kay I hold out and then I just dragged it. It's basically just copy paste pero it's just a shortcut basically. So sa kani for this one kay it will you know nga how sa elements kay there are primary, secondary, it can even reach tertiary kanang buttons. So sa kani I'll just pwede I wait. You can actually 'di ba I said nga you can you really want to be persistent with the properties nga you want to change. You can refer here sa right, click the instance. You can detach the instance. So you see here button, you see the three dots. If you click detach instance, you're basically unlinking this instance from the master component. So what that means is that whatever changes kanang occur in the master component, it won't affect this one na since it's unlinked and it's detached from the master component. So let's test it daw. Like, i-move kay ang kanirang move, dili na siya. Okay? So for this one, let's just say nga, it's here daw ang text. And then from button, I'll change this to primary. And then this one, I'll name it as secondary. Then I'll create it as a component. So this time, I'm gonna just click this one to create it as a component. And then, unsa na siya? It's now violet. So I'm gonna okay, wait. Also, I'm gonna make this gray lang sad. Okay, para primary jud siya og secondary. And there are distinguishable properties between them. So you can group components according to its type. You can do that by getting a frame. So just like what we did earlier, I click this and then you put these components inside a frame. So primary and secondary na siya no. And then wait, before I do that, it's they're both visible here sa assets panel. If I click frame and then put both of them inside a frame, and then I'll name the frame to buttons. Here in the assets, nawala na siya, but then there's a new category named button. So if you click it, makita na siya nimo. And then basically same na siya. Like you can drag it prasad ang mga components or like the instances. And then, okay, so this part it might be confusing to some. So if you've tried coding sa HTML or even CSS, kay 'di ba, especially on inline CSS, this template is very common. Like property is equals to the value for example like you want to change the color of the element. So sa inline CSS kay its color is equals to black, then the element will turn black. So pwede sad na um, color is equals to green. So mo green sad siya, divine ana sad siya. So here on Figma, its naming conventions of components, it's also the same thing. So it's property and the value. So I think it's this part is more understandable if you look at what I'm doing lang sa, okay? So I'm gonna change it here. I'm gonna change this one. I'll remove I'll ungroup them lang sa ha just for the sake of the discussion. But then it's really better to group them sa. Okay, so I'll move it here. Okay, but you can also read like the text that I prepared while I prepare this sa primary, then default, copy, paste, and then instead of primary, I'll make this secondary. And then you guys notice na like you can in CSS you can also change how the elements look according to the state or like the interaction of the user to the element. So diba like you can also put like the element colon then hovered. What you can do that's also actually possible here like to do that. I'm gonna detach instance and then instead of default ang default kay mao ng standard or like its normal state, I'm gonna make it hovered and I'm gonna make it lighter. Because I think it's better if it's lighter if hovered na siya. I'm gonna make that a component, and then I'm also gonna duplicate this ang secondary, and then I'm gonna detach instance inside of default. I also change this to hovered and make it lighter. Okay, so I'll make this component. Okay, so I'm gonna highlight everything. Kay components naman siya tanan. So if you direct your eyes here sa right side, there's this button called combine as variants. So please look at the naming conventions na like it's button slash primary or secondary slash default or hovered. So di ba kay I said the template for the naming is usually property and then value. The ones that I placed here are mga values ang katong after sa equal. So once I combine this as variance, look what happens. Di ba ang murag overarch ang first na value niya they were all buttons. The first value is basically the overarching element of the components. So mao na siya na it all grouped into buttons. And these are basically variants or variations of the buttons. And if you click it here, the first one, diba, this one was the primary and then the default. If you check here, our current variant sa right, there's property one, primary, and then there's a drop down, primary and secondary. Then for property two, there's default, and then there's also hovered. So you see the connection of what I basically did. So just like in CSS, like there's property and values, here on Figma, it also works the same way. It's just that you have free reign to how your properties and the range of your values. You can name your values, and then sa property, you can also actually change this. For example, I'll just name the katong primary and secondary to as type. I'll categorize them as type. And then sa kaning default and the hovered, it will be state. Okay? Yeah. Hovered is basically when your mouse pointer is touching the button. So example like I think dili siya here. I mean possible I visible here sa Figma dili kayo siya unsa. Wait, actually there. Awa. When you hover here, kay murag naa siya background, di ba? Mo darken iyang background sa kani. If you follow my cursor. So that's basically hover. And then ang click kay ang press kay mga na jud ang inana. Okay? Gets so far, guys? Are you guys following my discussion so far? Confirmation lang please sa chat. Kaya para unsa na. Okay. Yay. Yay. Hi, Aiza. Shout out. Okay. Okay. Sige, so the next the next thing I'm gonna discuss about components are nested components. So please ignore this guy lang sa guys. This is just my classmate. Taken siya if you guys are interested. Pero marag pwede pa siya ma-accept pa siya fans. So yeah, ako lang siya gi-censor yung name. Jose Rizal. And then, so basically, this is basically a profile. I basically mimicked a profile daw. And then this is already a component. And then just like in programming, I'm sure na you guys have knowledge na siya or like an idea or a clue about programming. Kaya there are also nested loops. So here on Figma, there are also nested components. Basically, components within components. So basically, since diba I said nga the power of components comes with its reusability. So you can actually use the instances sa atong nahimo na nga button. So for example, we'll change the text here since text is a property that can be overridden. Mo follow daw siya, pina-Instagram daw ni siya. And then, di ba what I did kanina, I highlighted everything and then combine as variants. Mo to siya na variations. You can actually also click either here, kanyo, awaning plus nga sign, nga violet, or you can click the whole component and then click here, kaning diamond outline with the plus in the center. So I'll just use this one. Ito siya sa below, but pwede rin siya ni mo ma-move. As long as kanang nani siya sa unsa ni siya dotted nga rectangle. Basta kana dili siya complete nga ay not straight nga rectangle. So, 'di ba for this one, kay it's the primary. Okay, so if you look at the here sa right sa instance or the properties panel, kay the type is primary, you can actually change it to secondary, then hovered, and then we'll go for the primary and default here. Meanwhile, so anhi kay wa pa siya ni-follow. Pero when na-follow na sa user, kay this is another instance of the profile, you can change the properties of the property of the button here. So redirect your eyes na sa the right. And instead of primary, it will be secondary and it will be default lang sa kay di man siya hovered do. And then instead of follow, pwede ba na follow naman siya nimo sa first instance. So it will be unfollow na here. You're following him naman daw on Instagram. So yeah, mao ni ang power of nested components. You can really have components within components. Okay, so task number 3, our quest number 3 is to create login text boxes and buttons. Okay, so I'm gonna copy paste this lang sa the frames. I mean, what the design that I just created. One thing I forgot to discuss layout grids is that, di ba, like, it's it's kind of distracting po na like the layout grids are always visible. You can actually toggle its visibility. So if you direct your eyes just to the right, like most properties jud or like stuff nga you change kay on the right jud siya. So just keep your eyes here jud. So if you click the eye, oh, it's more visible no ang mga design. So I'm gonna make components out of the text of the input fields and the buttons. So I'm gonna delete the password lang sa kaya di ba reusability, so I won't really need that. And then I'll click the email. I'll make this a component, and instead of email, I'll just put it as label lang sa kaya to make it generic. And then I won't put it lang sa there sa login nga box. I'll just put it here. So text field. Tawa, it's here na ang sa local components. I'll just drag it out, and then I can change the text, email, sorry. And then I'll drag another thing kay for its password again. So yeah, it's because of components kay the design that kanang it's usually nga from the scratch kay di ba but if sa code pa ni you just copy paste that block of code, but here kay you just drag it out. Yeah, okay. So I'm also gonna make the button reusable. Oh, sorry, wait, what should I align? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna make this button an instance. I'm gonna generalize this. Click this, center, and then group. I just to group them, you can click Control G, but then shortcuts will be discussed better later. So this and create component, and then I'll drag it outside lang sa for now. And then I'll name it default button lang. Like wala lang sa to ang mga properties and the values. I'll just drag it here, and then set this as wala lang sa. And then, di ba kanina actually wait, let's just do one variant. So I'll create a variant. And then sa default, hovered. So I'm gonna make the second variant lighter. So mauna siya. I'm not gonna make it default button, but yeah. But yeah, that's it. Basically, guys, for components, these are very useful for when you actually design a jet. So I hope that everyone was able to catch up. So our next part, sorry guys if overwhelming siya, maybe, pero we'll have an open forum on later, so it's okay. Ask one niya mo later. So let's follow na po the arrows. Sorry guys, ugly ako arrow. Dili ko artist good. Okay, so prototype mode, another powerful feature here on Figma. So the prototype mode or like the panel is here. Diba? It's design and properties. You can click here, the prototype. So this feature basically allows the user to manipulate redirection and animation. So far, what we've done, it's only the first half of the UI UX. We've only done the layout and the user interface. Now, we'll focus on manipulating what happens when the user interacts with the elements on the screen. So let's explore the prototype feature with the task or the quests. So bring user to home screen after clicking login button. So I created like murag pina home screen lang nga murag very wait, I'm gonna ungroup this. Okay, there. It's a very simple home screen, but the important feature I wanna highlight will be the prototype. So I'm gonna copy paste the login. Para to siya copy paste ha. I'm gonna name it login. Okay, so bring user to home screen after clicking login button. So what you can actually do that by clicking the login button, and then here's a prototype mode. You click the plus sign here sa interactions. And then nana siya marag default na mga settings right when you click it. So on click, basically right when the user clicks this element, Kai, there's this arrow no. This is basically it will lead to or navigate to. Basta na, we will explore that later ang mga other nga unsa na. But it will navigate to home. Oh, it's home ang frame here no. Okay? So another way nga you can actually do that is if you zoom, right? Kanang if you zoom too near or like near enough kay a small circle will appear and you can just drag it to to the screen that you want it to have interactions with. So same as siya ang default on click. And then you can also set animations. So 'di ba in PowerPoint, kay 'di ba you can also set animations. It's the same here as instead of instant, kay I want it to dissolve. And then you can even change nga how it dissolves. I usually use ease in and out because that's what they usually use. But then I don't actually know the difference of of these ones. But yeah, ease in and out lang. And then okay, let's see how what like how the magic happening na dyan. So you can see the magic happening. Same sa katong sa PowerPoint na there's like a presentation view. Kay if you direct your eyes here sa top right corner right, kay there's a play present button. So I click it, it will open a new tab. Wait, it's loading lang ha. Okay, so di ba, you're presented now with the screen that you created. And then when you click login, mura siya it's different na no, like ang yung cursor. So right when you click it, so yeah, get so far guys. Naabot siya sa home because of the login screen. I mean because of the interaction or the prototype mode. So, follow mo ato nga function guys. Basically unsa ra prototype panel and then ako ra siya gi-drag. So if you click the button here, click yeah, gets ra gets. Confirm guys. If we can move on. Sige, okay. Enough sana. Sige, so below napatay mga more quest here um for prototype mode. So we'll create an overlay. So we'll just refer to this one ha. Ato lang siya i-drag kaya para maabot yun siya sa task na 5. Hala. Okay, let's move this task. I'll move it pa dyan. Okay. So you can create overlays or pop-ups, 'di ba? So like when you use or like browse, kay 'di ba when there are times nga when you click a button, kay a pop-up will appear. So this is basically an overlay. So we can also create overlays here on Figma. So I'm just gonna create an overlay. You can use it's better to use frames again. And then I'll design it a bit lang ha kay para you guys can distinguish. I'm gonna change the corner radius. Lah, bati ana eh. I'll give it a stroke kay para it will be distinguishable sa everyone. And then I'll add a text na, welcome to the overlay. Oh, asa na, oy. Okay, kana lang. This will be our overlay. Okay, so this will be our overlay. We can make this an overlay. Let's just add a button ha, kay para more interactions sad ba? Or like natay proper flow of the interactions. So prototype button. I'll do what I did kanina. I'll just use the circle here and then drag it sa overlay. And on click ra sad siya, per instead of navigate to, it will be open overlay. And then you can manipulate the positioning of the overlay, center, top left. Pwede sad siya nga manual nimo. But for now, we'll just use centered. Close when clicking outside. I'll just check that because wala man tayo kanang close nga button. And then add background behind overlay. So if ang kani nga function kay below the overlay kay there's basically murag a gray nga murag background kay to distinguish the overlay from the original screen, okay? And then the animation kay we can explore others, move in, and it can be coming up. Okay, so let's check now if this works. Go to the, you don't have to all continuously, I always click present by the way. Like whatever you did, kay, it will reflect right away sa kani. Oh, the button is here na no, diba it wasn't there. Wait, let's change that sa daw the button. Open message daw. Give me a bit kaya para visible jud siya. Okay? Okay, so open message, click, and yeah, welcome to the overlay. Awa na siya yung background, no? And then when you click outside the overlay, kaya this is the overlay, nga murag frame. If you click outside the overlay, kaya it will close your sad. Like it will parihara sa iyang animation. So yeah, that's how you create pop-ups or overlays. And then, I think there was another task no, we were moving kanina. Expand screen height and explore overflow scrolling. Okay, so I'm gonna drag it na pod here. Okay, so di ba kanina I said na ang katong the 969 pixels value of height kay it's only possible I mean it's only applicable if you want a snug fit like sa kaning new tab like di ka kailangan mo scroll. But then if you have unsa na I'll expand it ha. I mean, just the containers for now. If you have content pa jud below nga you want the user to scroll to, kaya you can expand the screen height. So I'm just gonna expand it. Right when you hover sa border of the frame, kay your cursor changes and you can just drag it like that. And then I'm gonna put like a text lang here kay to signify. I'm just gonna copy paste this kay para same lang na design. Welcome to the underworld. Ana lang. Okay? So if you go back to the present, you can, di ba kanina kay, actually, di ba siya ka nang ni-explore if ma-scroll ba siya. Per karon, ma-scroll na siya. Welcome to the underworld. So, to siya, that's the expand screen height. The second is to explore overflow scrolling. So, I'm gonna create overflow scrolling is basically kay just like how you can scroll sa kanang screen, you can also scroll through mga nested frames within frames basically. So I'm just gonna distinguish this frame with a stroke, ana, kaya para it's really distinguishable. I know nga it's ugly, but then just for the sake of demonstration. And for the I'm gonna create rectangles here. Red siya kay para it's really distinguishable, okay? Ako rin siyang hold out, click out, then drag. Ew, why siya nagka-align? I'm gonna tidy up. Ew. Okay, 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 there. I'm gonna add more. And then I'm gonna tidy up the alignments. Kaya I'm sure it's not. Blah. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna put these rectangles of frames that I just created, the ugly frame. Where's the frame? It's frame 89. Okay. I'm gonna drag the rectangles sa frame 89, inside frame 89. So as you can see, kay ni clip siya. So whatever nga like ang bounds ra or like ang dimension sa frames kaya that's what you can see ra pod sa mga elements that are under or that are inside that are inside the frame. So overflow scrolling kay if you click here sa if you ay isa okay, so if you click here sa prototype again kay if you click the frame okay, there's overflow scrolling na option here or like portion. And then, di ba, it's no scrolling. And okay, no scrolling sa ta. So as you can see, this is no scrolling basically. Like you can't see the other elements. That's no scrolling. But then, horizontal scrolling, if you click horizontal scrolling, kawa, you can move na the elements that are inside the frames that pero like same rasad siya like ang makita rasad nimo kay like sa same dimensions within the frame pero you can move the elements to see what are its contents nga murag na hide siya or na crop siya sa frame. Okay, so that's overflow scrolling. So yeah, that's it for kanang prototype mode. I hope that was useful for everyone and murag na explore nato halos tanan ang prototype panel. So the next one, oh, okay, the arrow is coming from here. Okay, it's shortcuts and it will be by Ted. So take it away, Ted. I'm gonna stop sharing.
Thank you so much for that, Hannah. I learned so much from you. I think I can confidently call myself a pro designer now. Don't you guys agree? Do you guys feel confident now, or I guess you need more practice pa siguro, no? But let me share my screen for the next part. So yeah, as you saw a while ago, okay, there. We're gonna be talking about shortcuts next. So let's take a break lang from the designing and let's go into how to boost your efficiency and productivity on Figma. So before let's get to it then. So on Figma, there's actually a command palette that you can open up that shows you all the available shortcuts on Figma. And to do that, you just need to press Control Shift Slash. So let me do that right now. And there you go. As you can see, we have all the available shortcuts on Figma. So if you ever forget one or you need to find one, so just look at here. Okay, and next, I'll be showing you the different shortcuts divided by their categories. So for tools, we have frame. To quickly create a frame, just press F, like so, and it brings up the frame cursor. And then you can just simply create your frame. And then for text, that's T. So now you can type some text. And then for rectangle, we have R, and that's a cute rectangle. There you go. And for circle, that's O, like so. And then for line, that's L. And the next one is the pick color or the eyedropper tool. So let me show you how the eyedropper works. So basically, if you want to select a color from a different element and then paste that color into your new element, let's say for example, my circle will be, I'll give it a color of red, and then I want my square here to get this color. So instead of having to click this and then copy the hex and then paste it here, what I can do is just select this square and then press I on the keyboard. and select the circle. So now whatever color this has will go to the square. So that's for the pick color shortcut. Moving on to the view and zoom shortcuts. So to show or hide your UI, which is basically the UI of Figma, you can do control backslash. This is supposed to be backslash, sorry. But yeah, now it will hide your UI and then do it again to show it. And to toggle grids, which is what Hannah was working on a while ago, the grids, you can do Shift G. So let's try it on here because I have a grid. If I do Shift G, it will show. And if I Shift G again, it will hide it. And then for panning, how do you actually navigate around the canvas? There are two ways, or at least I know two ways. The first way is by holding down space and then dragging with your left mouse button. And another way of doing it is holding down your middle mouse button, which is basically the scroll bar. So if you hold down your scroll bar and then move around, so that's how you can also pan. So whichever is more comfortable for you, you can go with that. And then for zooming, there are also a couple of ways you can zoom. Uh, so to normally zoom in and out, you can do control and then scroll, like so. And if your zoom is kind of like weird, like it zooms too much at a time, you can change that in the settings. So you can go to your preferences and then uh, use alternate zoom handling, this one. So if you enable this, it will zoom nice and smoothly like that. And then if you want to zoom out to fit everything into your whole screen, you can do Shift 1, like so. As you can see, it fits everything in your whole screen. But if you want to zoom only to like your selection, for example, I want to select this, and if I press Shift 2, it zooms out to that selection. So those are your ways of zooming in and out. The next one is the selection. So first of all, we have deep select, which is control click. But what does deep select mean actually? So I have an example here where this is a frame, and inside the frame, I have another frame with some text, right? So what if I want to select this text and edit it? As you can see, if I hover over the text, nothing, it doesn't happen. Like I can't select the text. And to actually select it, I have to double click and then double click again to edit it, right? But the way you can bypass this is by holding down Control, which activates the deep select shortcut. So now it will select the bottommost element in a frame. So now if I double click, it automatically allows me to edit it. So that is for deep select Control click. Now for grouping together elements, which is Control G, let me try grouping this. So right now I have three squares, but they're individual squares, right? And if I want to move them all at once, I'll have to select all and then move. But if I want to group them together into one element, I can just select them all and then do Control G. So now it's a group and you can now move it around. Okay, that's for grouping. And next we have ungroup. So to ungroup, it's just the opposite. So the group is Control G and then ungroup is Control Shift G, like so. This is actually useful because when you have similar elements and you want to like align them or move them at once, so it's easier. Anyway, moving on to show or hide, which is Control Shift H. So if, for example, you want to hide this element from your view, but then still keep it in the position. So by doing Control Shift H, it's now invisible, but then it's still actually there. And likewise with lock or unlock, we can do Control Shift L, which locks the frame. So now you can see the lock icon on this frame. So whatever I do above the element won't affect the locked frame. Okay, that's for lock. Okay, and then for cursor shortcuts. First of all, we have measure. So this is actually one of the most important shortcuts that I would recommend to you guys, and you should use this regularly, Jude, because one of my pet peeves when it comes to designing is when the when the elements are not symmetrical or like the distances are not aligned and stuff. So let me give you an example. Say this one, right? What if it was like here, like not really that centered? How would you know if it's centered? So of course you can like align it using this. But then if you want to know exactly the distance between the element and its surrounding elements, so you can just hold down Alt and you can see now, oh, so this is 671 pixels away from here and 513 away from here. And you can edit it as you wish and stuff. And also, um, yeah, if you have multiple elements in one area, so let's say like this, I'm gonna copy this here, and I want to know the distance between this and this. So I can just select this element, hold down Alt, and then select the next element, which is this one. So it tells you the distance between them. So yeah, just like that. Okay, next we have duplicate. So Hannah already showed this a while ago, but then instead of manually copying and then pasting an element like that to duplicate it, what you can do is just hold down Alt and then drag it. So as you can see the cursor, it becomes like dual cursor, and then you can now duplicate the element easily like that. So yeah, and then moving on to resizing elements. So we all know that to resize an element, you use the bottom, like the corners, right? So you can make the corners big or small like that, drag the corners. But what if you want to resize it from the center? So just hold down Alt while resizing. So Alt, and then there you go. It's a bit weird here, but let me try unlike this one. I'll just make a duplicate of that. Okay, so for this one, for example, if I hold down Alt, it will resize from the center as opposed to from the side like that. And then to resize it proportionally, you hold down Shift. That means it maintains the proportion of the original square. So hold down Shift and then resize. So now it doesn't go, doesn't like deform. And you can actually also combine these shortcuts. So if I do Shift and Alt at the same time and then resize, so now you see it's perfectly proportional like that. Okay. This is, yeah, and then this is useful for like, a while ago when Hannah was making buttons, and then let's say there's a text, right? And then when she added like more letters to the text or edit the text of the button, or maybe like expand the button size, for example, it made the content like not centered anymore. So that's when you can use actually the shortcut. So if you do Shift, no, no, Alt, then it will basically resize it, but keeping the contents in the middle. So that's the purpose of that. Okay, moving on to arrange. We're almost done, I guess. Don't worry. Um, so this is specifically useful for when you're working with layers, different layers. So for bring forward, it's control right bracket, and then bring backward, control left bracket. Let me show you what I mean. So let's say we have these three squares, and they're like layered, right? So bottom layer, middle, and then top. What if I want to bring this bottom layer to the top? So I can do control and then right bracket. That will bring it up. If you can see here, it brings it up by one. So there. And to bring it back down, it's the control left bracket like that. But what if I want this rectangle to go to the very top and skip everything else in the middle? That's when I can just do right bracket without control. So it's just like this one, like no control. It's just right bracket and then left bracket. So that bypasses everything. So that's how you basically arrange your layers. And lastly, we have other useful shortcuts. First of all, nudge. So you also saw this from Hannah a while ago, but basically nudge is when you move an element using your arrow keys. So for example, with this one, I want to move it, let's say left by 1 pixel. So I just need to click on my left arrow key once. If you see the distance moving one at a, it's like moving 1 pixel at a time. So that's how you nudge it. Or if you want to nudge it with a big amount, you can hold down shift while clicking your arrow. So now it nudges by default 10 px at a time, 10 pixels. So that's how you nudge it. And actually, you can change your nudge amount by going to your preferences here and then nudge amount. And as you can see, my nudge amount is 8 for the big nudge. And that's because I forgot to mention this, but there's something called a 8-point rule. So an 8-point rule is basically a system where the distances and sizes of your elements in the screen should be divisible by 8. What do I mean by that? So let's say this square, ideally, the width and height of your square should be divisible by 8. And the distance between it and other components should be also divisible by 8. And the reason behind that is because it lies behind our screen sizes. So with the 8-point rule, it allows the elements to fit perfectly in our screens and also be visually more appealing. And the reason why I have my nudge amount to 8 pixels is because so that when I move or nudge my elements, it will always be divisible by 8. So yeah. Next we have copy as PNG. So usually or normally when you want to export your frames or components or elements into a picture or a PNG, this is what you do. So you select the frame and then at the right side and the bottom, you click on export. And now you can download this. You can export the layer and download it. But a way to do it fast or bypass that is just select the frame or element and then do Control Shift C. So now it copies it as a PNG. Give it a moment. Okay, there. And then it saves it to your clipboard. So now you can paste it anywhere you want, like so. There we go. So that's a fast and easy way of doing that. And lastly, we have quick actions. So if ever maybe you want to search for a feature or you forgot how to do something or the shortcut of something, you can just bring up the quick actions by control slash. So if I do control slash right now, it shows up this and you can search for any command or menu or anything. So for example, for copy as PNG, I select this and then control slash and then search for copy. You got some options and then copy as PNG, it does it for you. So that's control slash. Okay, give it a while. Okay, there we go. So that's it for the shortcuts. Um, are you guys good pa? The next part we're gonna go for is we're gonna go back to designing na pod. We're gonna thank you. We're going to tackle the concept of auto layout. So what is auto layout actually? Okay, hold on. Okay, so auto layout is basically, are you guys familiar with Flexbox in CSS? So, di ba in CSS there's a Flexbox nga mag style. Have you guys tried that na? Or not yet pa? Sige daw. No? Okay, not yet. Okay, so basically in CSS, there's something called a flexbox. And flexboxes are flexible containers wherein the content respond depending on the size of the container. So in other words, if your container is big, then the content will also expand. And if the container is small, the content will also shrink. So it's how you make responsive containers in CSS and HTML. And that's exactly the same concept as auto layout. So with auto layout, it's actually kind of complex, and even I myself haven't mastered it fully. In fact, I'm actually quite bad at it, but I know the basics, and I'm gonna share with you guys the basics lang. So if you want to delve more into it, you can definitely do that. I can send you guys a link after this sa chat box for like a workshop, like a playground where you can mess around with auto layout. But for now, let's go with, I'm gonna show you guys three use cases where we can use auto layout. So first of all is a nav bar. So let me create a traditional nav bar right now without auto layouts. Huh? So for example, we have this as a nav bar, and then I'm gonna make this white, and then to make it nicer, just give it some rounded corners like so. Okay, there. And then I'm gonna add some text to our nav bar, our menus, right? So create a text, and then let's say home. Okay, that's too big. Wait. Make it 100. Okay, that's perfect. So let's say we have home and uh, about me, and then contact. Okay, let's go with, okay, let's have one more na lang. And let's say, I don't know, we put here anything, search. So this is our nav bar now. And basically, if I want to add a new menu to here, what I have to do, okay, is I have to create a new text. Let's say another menu, right? So I'm gonna put it here on the right side, and we have to like resize na po the nav bar to fit everything, and then now it's not centered, so I have to like move it there na po and make sure that it's all centered in the div, so like that, bitaw. It's kind of long and it's a hassle na. So if we create this nav bar with auto layout, this is how it would look like. So first of all, we have the original nav bar, and then I'm gonna frame this. I'm gonna select everything and then frame it. So right click and then frame selection. So now we have a frame. I'm gonna name this nav bar. Okay, like that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply auto layout to this frame. So in the right side, we have auto layout here, and then click on plus, and now we have auto layout. We have some additional properties here now. And as you can see, it shows you the spacing between items. We can make it wider and smaller. And if you can notice, the container adapts to the size of the contents, di ba? And then we can also even edit the padding, the left and right padding, and the top and bottom padding as well. So this is the power of auto layout. Exactly the same as Flexbox and CSS. So what if I wanted to add another one, di ba? Another menu to here. So all I have to do is create the menu, create a text, and then drag it in. And wherever I want to put it, I can just drop it. And it fits it perfectly with the same kanang distance between each other, right? So that's auto layout. So monito. That's one of the use case. Let's try another one. Let's try a features list. So basically, yeah. So basically, a features list is let's have let's have a container like so. I'm just gonna copy the properties of this. So actually, you can copy a property of an element by clicking it and then right click and then copy or paste copy properties, or just do Control Alt C as a shortcut. So Control Alt C, copied, and then here I'm gonna do Control Alt V. So now it will copy the styles and everything and paste it over here. And now I'm gonna add a features list. So for that, I'm gonna get an icon. Let me just grab an icon real quick. Iconify. I'll show you guys this later, but then for now, let's say star. Okay, I'm gonna get this one. Okay, and then just make it a bit bigger. Okay, okay, so I'm gonna put the star here, and then beside it, I'm gonna put a text. Let's say feature number one. So, and then below it, I'm gonna add some more text for a description. And for that, I'm gonna get a placeholder text for lorem ipsum. Let me just, which one was it? Uh, Save plugins. Okay, I'm just gonna search for lorem ipsum because lorem ipsum generator for the bottom text. Just a moment. Okay, here we go. Okay, there we go. That's a bit long. Oh god, okay, wait. I'm gonna make this kanang fixed width and make it like that. And then I can paste the text. Okay, there we go. I'll just make this a bit shorter. Let's say here. There. Okay. Now we have an icon, the feature name, and then a description. And I'll also make this justified to make it look nicer. And the color maybe a bit lighter, and then the size a bit smaller. Yeah, like that. Okay, that's perfect. Okay. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna group these three together to make it one. And now I can copy and paste. I can duplicate this to make a list. So, okay. Now I have a list of features and just tidy it up to even out the spacings. Okay, there. So that's our feature list. But let's say, what if you want to increase the size of your container, right? So if I increase it like that, as you can see, the content stays the same. So what if you wanna like uh expand the content as well, you have to do it manually pod like that. And then even if you do that, the icon looks weird now. So it's really bad. So what if we apply auto layout to the features list, right? Let me try that now. Okay. So first of all, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete these other features, and then we're gonna work on this first one first. And then I'm going to frame this frame selection to make it a frame. I'm gonna name this features list. And there you go. And then I'm gonna set this content. Okay, select this content and then set it to fill container. Wait, no, and add auto layout pa. So auto layout, add auto layout, and I'm gonna set this content to fill container. Okay, I hope you guys followed that. Sorry if it was fast. Balik na lang. So we have the frame and then auto layout, and then con- with this content inside the frame, I'm gonna make it fill container. So now if I try to resize this, oh wow, it fills the whole thing now. It moves now. But then the icon is still a bit kinda weird, di ba? So what we have to do is I'm gonna select this. I'm gonna group the icon and the text together by Control G. So now it's one group, di ba? So I have this group and this group. And then I'm gonna add auto layout to the actual content itself. So this whole content, I'll add auto layout to it, like so. So now I'm gonna set the description to fill fill container. I'm gonna set the wait. I'm gonna set this. I'm gonna set the header group to fill also. Okay, wait. Okay, set the header to the max content, and then set this to fill container. Okay, there we go. So now our header group is in fill, our text is also filling up the whole container, and then our content is also gonna be fill container. Okay, so basically this should work now. Let's try it out. If I increase the size, okay, wait, now pay kuwang. This is supposed to be fill also. Okay, there. Okay, the icon is still weird. Wait, I think I have to make this uh auto layout also. Try that. Okay, there we go. So it's a bit, I know it's a bit too much to take in for now, but then trust me, if you experiment with it, different options and properties, you'll start to understand it, understand the flow, like the concept of auto layout. But that's basically the expected outcome. So now what I can do is I can duplicate this feature by doing Control C, so copy and then paste, and now it adds it automatically to your features list. And I can also edit the height, like the padding in between. So I can make it like that, and then give it some margin in there, and then like so. So there we have it. So if I want to increase or decrease the size, it will also adjust accordingly. So that's for the features list. And then last one for the photo gallery. Um, let's say we're gonna make a photo gallery, right? So let's do that, and then again I'm gonna copy the properties of this and then paste it here, like so. And then let's have a few photos. I'm gonna grab my plugins again, plugins, and then Unsplash. And I'm gonna search for some nature photos. Okay, let's grab a few from here. Okay, I have one. Okay, a few more. Okay, give it a while. Okay, there we go. So we have a few photos here. And what I'm gonna do is I wanna put these photos in this container, like a gallery. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a frame. I'm gonna put this frame here, like so. And I'm gonna copy this or like drag it into the frame, like that. And then just like resize it to fit, something like that. Okay, there. I'll also make this frame a bit rounded to make it look nice. I'll duplicate this. Okay, like so. And then just tidy it up for now. Tidy up. Then maybe lessen the distance between it. Okay. And I'm gonna copy this one and then here delete this one and then paste. There we go. Okay, there. Oops. Okay. And then same goes for this one. Copy. In here I'm gonna delete and then paste. Oops. Paste. Okay, there. Okay, like so. Okay. We'll keep the last one because we only have a few photos naman. Okay. So there you go. It's my gallery now. And the problem is, again, what if I want to resize my container or this one? I want to make it smaller. So as you can see, di ba, it malapas siya sa container. Yeah. And maybe if you want to extend it, it will be in the middle gyapon. So to make this more responsive, we're gonna add auto layout. So let's grab this again, the original one, and then select everything, and then right click, and then frame selection. So now we can rename this to gallery. And then And then we're gonna add auto layout to it in the right side, auto layout. And then we can adjust the spacing and everything. And then, but if we expand it, it's still at the bottom, weirdly. What we're gonna do, and if we like make it smaller pod, it also goes over the container. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna select all of the content, and then uh, we're gonna set this to fill container right here in the right side. So now all of these pictures are filling the whole container. So if I make it wider, it will also stretch out. If I make it smaller, it will also shrink in. And then what we can also do is, diba, we want this to be centered man. So if we select these photos in the right side, actually if we select the whole frame, and in the right side, you can see this property, like the grid part. This is actually the constraints. Okay, so right now it's in the bottom left alignment, which means it is basically sitting in the bottom left of the container. If we make this centered, like so, now if we resize it, it will always be in the center. So that's the use of this constraints. Okay, and also if we want to change the direction of the gallery, so let's say we want to make it vertical now, you can also click the arrow down to make it vertical. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So anyway, you can explore more on this by yourself if you want. And yeah, just be more creative with it and explore. And then you can also even combine auto layouts. So for example, you can have an auto layout frame with another auto layout component inside of it, stuff like that. And imagine having a whole page, everything is auto layout. So it will be very responsive now. And even if you make the screen size smaller and larger, it will all adapt to the container. And as a designer, it's very important to know this because your number one goal is to impress the client, diba? And what if the client asks na, okay, my screen size is this, and then when you change the screen size, kay, it doesn't adapt na to the kuan, to the distance. So mo na, you have to use auto layout. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys, do you guys follow that? Have any questions? Or the next part is actually going back to Hana na pod with branding and styles. So if Gina mo, we can continue, but unsa man,
Uh, si Pia and Shea will take over for a bit. So
okay,
go
okay.
and
Sige.
please.
Okay. So, before we continue with Ate Hana, guys, buhay pa mo dira. Let's have an icebreaker, guys, kay para what they call this, kanang dili mo mag information overload. So, let's have our icebreaker.
Okay, so for our icebreaker, you will be given two options to choose from. There will be a poll for you guys to cast your votes, or you can just type in your answers in the chat box. So, for the first question, what do you guys prefer more, light mode or dark mode? There are no right or wrong answers, we're just checking everyone's preferences. Like, which design do you prefer, guys?
Okay. Ikaw, Pia,
Ooh,
what do you use man? Light or dark mode?
I'm more of a light mode user.
Light mode. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I
Let's
prefer light
see.
because it's usually in white. Yeah,
Oh,
I kind of
okay.
mainly I love light mode mainly because I love white. Okay, more into the siya.
White mode supremacy. Ay, white mode, dark mode supremacy. Oy.
And
Let's
I don't
see.
know, it's kind of ironic kaya magsakit ako eyes sa dark mode.
Well, let's see if light mode or dark mode supremacy ba. Okay, so ang pinakadaghan og
Nano light.
ang pinakadaghan og votes kay dark mode. Oh, ingon bitaw ko nimo. dark mode supremacy. So guys,
Naman
did
ko,
you
unique mo ko, Char.
so guys, did you know that the idea behind dark mode is that it reduces the light emitted by device screens while maintaining the minimum color contrast ratios required for readability. See, Pia, dark mode supremacy. Sorry sa mga nag-light mode.
Figure outer na.
Okay, next question is which one do you guys prefer doing? Signing in or logging in? Sige, go. Diba man what's the difference between signing in and logging in, no?
What's the
Logging
difference?
in. What's the difference? Oh, what's the difference daw, lagi
Like
Pia?
the trust box. Oh,
The
are you saying
trend.
that I'm a bug? I'm ko, sige, ladybug na lang ko. But ladybugs are pretty, char.
Sige, let's see daw, be. Unsa na eh?
Oh, you'll be my wasp?
Ah,
Galing yan.
okay. Log in, log in.
Okay, okay.
So,
Mali mo.
a
Logging
lot of
in, mali. Oh,
a lot
logging
of people
in. Okay.
chooses logging in. Sige. What's
So,
logging in
logging in
man?
means you had already created an account. And all you have to do is to just enter your username or email or what is asked and your password.
Ay, na day na. Pero guys, sana all active. Oy, di ba nga ni ka-active si Crush mo reply? Hi.
Ako na may reply ni mo siya, uy.
Ay,
Always available man ko.
ay, ganahan lagi ko ana. Pero sige, anyways, let's go back to Ate Hana. A round of applause, please.
Hello, guys, again. I hope nga ang icebreaker ka naka-bring back sa yung energy kay Murag. Taas-taas pa atong discussion, no? So, we'll just, ato din siya i-breeze through ang mga nahibilin nga mga features. So, I'm gonna share my screen again. Okay, so, is it visible na ako screen? Okay, I think it's visible na. Okay, so we'll briefly touch on branding and styling. So just like what we discussed components in our discussion, like an R logo or something like that, kay styles will help in your efficiency and consistency of your system. So ang kaning styles kay it is also the reusability of the properties. So ang kaning nasa sa imong right side, so that you don't have to manually change it all the time. So you don't have to always click on elements and then change the color and stuff like that. So the result with styles will be a system that is more pleasing to the eye, so like consistent siya, unlike the ugly screen that's here below, marag nagkayumukat siya. So our task here, na siya sa ubos na dyan. Our task here or quest is to improve the branding and styling of the system above. Okay? So I'm just gonna drag it below sa task kay para maklaro dyan nga mo ato dyan gibuhat ang task. Okay? So first, ang kanisa nga tong right side, kung mo dyan din nakabati jog now nga part sa screen right now. So I think nice na ni ang home nga murag like ang yang typography. So pero ang kaning uban kay murag questionable ni siya. Okay, so we can actually create murag a template for the text styling. So if you click here, okay, there are 4 dots sa text. So you just click this and then you click plus. So what will this do kay wait ha, I'll put features text. Okay, so what it basically did, kay it saved kay let's check lang kani sa user profile lang sa what the style did kay it basically saved the font family, the typeface, the styling of the text, the size of the text, ang iyang mga alignments, and also ang kaning mga alignment, it's center pa siya, and also more its positioning. So it basically save it into a style so that, for example, sa kaning discover, you don't have to manually change the font na jud. So if you click here na, di ba kay we already saved it as feature text man. So when you click discover, you can find the style we just created by clicking style. And then here, it's in features text. So just when I click this, kay it's the same na as the home. Ang text lang, I mean, ang content lang ang ni-change. So sa shopping cart, kay just do the same and do the same here. So we're yun siya og components, but it's just like we're gonna siya fix the properties that is available or in store for you. So another thing that you can also save as a style are ang kaning fill. So I want the fill. Okay, there I think there's a button here. I want the style of the fill. Actually, I saved here colors kay para murag will follow these colors for the branding. So for example, for this button, I want the fill to be this color. So I hope you guys listened to Ted's discussion on shortcuts earlier. I'm gonna click I for the eyedropper, and I'm gonna click this. So it's green na. And then I'm gonna save this style. I hope if it's okay, delete the I. I'm gonna click again the four dots, click plus, and then I'm gonna name this color as the primary color um of the branding. So I'll change all the buttons here, kaning mga view items to the green color. So I'm gonna use the deep select. Diba it was control? Yeah, okay, it's control. I'm now delete sa kani. Wait, kanto lang sa wait, I'm gonna click it again. Ang deep select ni guys. Kanaminaw kong tag. Okay, I'm gonna click this. So all I have to do na here, kay I'm gonna click this. Hala, wala ka siya na-change. Maybe you have to click it all. I mean, once. Okay, more usap-usap na siya.
Hold
I
down
know.
shift
Okay,
and
shift. Okay, okay. Okay, I'm gonna deep select and then also siya na. Okay, okay. Yeah. Sige. Yeah, change na. Sorry, guys. Very lutaw moments. I don't know why delete niya siya ma-click. I think, okay. Nalock
maybe
niya
it's
siya.
locked. I think you locked it.
Um, this one? Okay, yeah. It was locked, yeah. So I'm gonna deep select it again. So shift, yeah. And then I'm gonna also gonna change it. And then yung background kay I'm gonna click eyedropper. Wala, babatig na, wait. Wait, okay. I'm gonna add that sa ang kaninga color. Wala, no, not that. Okay. I'll click plus, secondary, create style. But then for the containers, kaning mga nice strokes, kaya I'm gonna add a fill kaya para it's white. Why is this not white if it's FF? Organic siya problema. I don't know why it's not white. Ah, okay, I know na. Ay, let me check. Why ni siya?
What is not white? Ang stroke?
No, like the fill. Diba it's not white? That's not
It's
white, right?
white. It's white.
Really?
Oh my god.
Wait,
You're
am I
getting blind.
colorblind? No, okay. Okay, I know at least I know the feature. Even no colorblind lang ko for a moment. Sorry guys. Dili ko. Okay, I'm just gonna save this style. I'm gonna add it. I'm just gonna add it as a background. I'm gonna name the style as background. Even though nga it's white, I'm just applying it kaya para when it changes. Okay, I'm gonna show sa the feature of styles. So, 'di ba, ang kaning mga buttons kay it's all green, but then I think you can change it, right? Okay, you can edit the style nga para 'di ba these are I use styles for all the buttons man. So I can also change it murag ako siya i-black. So it mitan all of the instances of the style also change. So yeah, imagine that. And then you can also delete styles. So when you delete a style, ang kanilang daw ang green kaya para kaya I'm colorblind. So maybe I won't know like, oh wait, I don't know I'm colorblind. But then if I'll delete it, okay, so the color of the background didn't disappear, but instead kay it basically unlinked. It's basically if the components panika, it detach its instance. Okay? Maybe the background isn't white. I don't know. I also don't. I also don't know. Without maybe I'm really colorblind.
It's
Okay,
white, right? It's
I'll,
white.
I'll look at my. I'll check my eyes later. Lang siya. um, the beachy
Ang
is like
background sa
what I
inner
mean
component.
sa
Yeah.
background kay it's like the background of these stuff like kanina yung mga outlines of black. Wala akong gimin nga like dili white. Okay, but yeah, I really just wanted to share everyone the features which is styles, and then if I scroll up again, kay the styles are applicable in layout grids, in text, the one katong the size, the font size, or like the alignment, and then the fill, which is the color, the stroke, and the effects. Effects, mao na siya ang drop shadow. Actually, there are more effects other than drop shadow, but I'll leave it to you guys to explore the effects on your own. Okay, so that's it for branding our styles. And then the last feature that we'll discuss on the basics of Figma are the plugins. So I'll give you guys back to Ted again. Yay!
I'm back, guys. Okay. Sharing. Okay. Okay, so for the last part, I hope makita na akong screen, is the plugins. So plugins are basically, wait, nawa lagi ang, okay, wait lang ha, 1 second. Uh, okay, there. Basically, plugins are like extra features that you can install on your Figma or like add to your Figma, which provides extra functionality. So for example, like you saw a while ago, I had a plugin for icons, right? So all I had to do was right click and then click on plugins and then iconify. And it brings me up this whole like window here with icons. And to actually install this from scratch, all you have to do is go to like find the icon. So you can click on this see resources nga button and go to plugins. Sorry, go to plugins and then search for a plugin. So let's say Iconify. And then once you click on it, it brings you to like the page, like the thing. And then in the three dots, click it and then it should say save here to your plugins if wala pa na save. So click here to save. And then you can run it just by clicking run or doing what I did here. So if I go to save plugins and then Iconify, and there you go. So with Iconify, this is what I use for my icons because basically it contains like almost all the open source icons you can find online all in one place. And the best part about it is you can edit the style and then you can even export it into code later on. So let's get an example. Let's say I want a smiley icon. So search. So yeah, you got all these options to pick from. And let's go for maybe this one. MDI, okay. And I just drag it out here. And there you go. Let me just put this here first. It's kind of small for now. Let me make it bigger. Okay, there. Okay, so now I have a smiley icon. And what I can do with this now, since it's an SVG format, I can edit the style manually. I can even edit the points individually and make it whatever shape I want, like that. And I can even edit the color, so I can make the fill red or something, like that. Okay. And then I can even export this into code. So how do I do that? I just click on it, and at the bottom, we can click on Iconify, and it brings you to this, right? If you want this exact style, then you would have to export it here as SVG. But then if you want just the icon itself, so you can go to its page here, so Iconify, and then click icon code, and it brings you to a web page. You can't see it, but then basically the web page shows you all the options on SVG code, the CSS code, or anything like that. You can just copy it and then paste it onto your project. So that's Iconify. And one tip with Iconify is if you notice in the name, it says MDI smiley sad. That's because every icon has a style or like parang siya, brand. Yeah, it's a brand. So if I go to this one, it's PH. That's for phosphor icons. If I go to this one, that's still phosphor. Okay, they're all phosphor. But but yeah, different, and this one is Kwan, diba, MDI. So different icons have different brands. And what you what you should like practice when you're doing design is you should have consistency, which means all your icons should have the same kind of style. And with Iconify, you can actually just search using its brand, so MDI. So if I wanna search for another one, maybe a share icon, I can do MDI colon share. And now it shows you all the share icons with the MDI nga brand or style. Okay? So that's the nice thing about Iconify. Okay, moving on to the next plugin I want to share with you guys. Um, Coolers. Okay, Coolers. So as you saw from Hannah a while ago, diba she was talking about brand and colors, right? With the Coolers nga plugin, so you can basically generate your own color palette, and it's actually really nice. It gives you nice kind of options to choose from, and you can even explore like trending palettes and stuff. So yeah, if you find one that you like, you can like copy the hex, and then over here you can just copy the color like so. So that's Coolers. And then next one is the Unsplash, which I showed a while ago also. So if I go to plugins and then Unsplash, okay, here. So you can search for images on Unsplash which are actually royalty free, so they are not copyrighted. So like a while ago, we have nature. You can get those for free, and you can even export them afterwards. So for example, if I import this one, where is it? It's not there. Okay, there. So if I have this image and I want to export it, I just have to click on export and then PNG and then export this one. Okay, so that's Unsplash. And oops, sorry. Okay, and then the last one I want to show to you is Design Lint. If you guys are familiar with coding and stuff like JavaScript or anything like that, there's something called a lint, which is basically it checks for errors in your code. So likewise, there's also that kind of thing in design. So if we go to Design Lint, fun fact, it is actually made by Discord, I think. I'm not sure. But then Design Lint, you can select a frame, let's say this frame, and it basically shows you refresh. Okay, it shows you everything wrong with this frame. So, for example, by category, missing fill style, you got like 21 of those. Missing text style, missing strokes. So, yeah, if you're really into the kanang minor details bitaw, then you can use this to really check each of your elements if they're correct and stuff. Okay. So yeah, those are just some of the plugins that I use on Figma, but there are definitely many more, and you can find more in the Figma community. So just go to the link of Figma community. I'll send the link later, but basically, this is what it looks like. And then you can search for anything here. So for example, a plugin, you want maybe a, a text generator or like placeholder generator. So you can just search placeholder and it shows you plugins and everything. So here, generate. Quickly generate some text and stuff. So you can add this to your Figma. And also in the community, you can find mga templates and design systems or inspiration. It has a lot of content here basically. So for example, if you don't know what to make or how to design, you can find inspiration here. So you can, okay, let's try this one. You can actually view the works of other people. And likewise, you can also post your own works on here. So let's have an example of this one. Let it load. Okay, there. So there, it's an example of a sign up page and mobile view. So yeah. And then one fun fact about this is there are actually designs of large like applications or websites that you can actually duplicate or make a copy of here in Figma. For example, Discord. You search for Discord and go to so look at that. Go to files and templates. So you have the Discord landing page, the Discord application itself. If I go here, look at this. It's actually really cool because it allows you to modify or like make your own concept of like an application that already exists. So, awa, you can make a copy of this and then design it yourself afterwards. So it's pretty cool. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for okay, last one for the I. There's something called a design system. If we go back to community and then design systems, it's basically like meron siya a brand, meron siya a brand nga you can like copy and use for your own project. So if we go to like this one, UI kit, app UI kit. So this provides you here, it provides you with basically components and styles as well as colors and stuff. It's not a good example. Let me find a better one. Sa. Let's search for UI kit. Okay, let's try. Okay, this one, perfect. Here's what I mean by UI kit. Get it load. Okay, here. It gives you like pre-made ng components, grid systems. Basically, everything's here. Right. Text styles, so you have the sizes of text and colors. You have shadows and stuff, icons, tags. These are components, as you can see from the purple outline. Accordions. These are working accordions. Like you can even interact with them and stuff. Modals. It has everything. So meron siya, if you're familiar with Bootstrap in CSS, UI kits are like Bootstrap. It's like a library of components. So manas, yeah, that's pretty much it for the community stuff. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ate Hannah and Kuya Ted. Did you know that as a student who has never thought about Figma before, I seem to have now taken interest in it. Now that we are introduced to the features of Figma, let us now step up everyone's game a little bit. Let us have another icebreaker. Ready na mo mag-icebreaker? Balik, guys! Wait, don't leave me hanging. Dito bag me. Okay. Okay, so for our second icebreaker, we'll still do the same thing where you have to choose between two options. You either cast your votes on the poll or just comment your answers in the chat box. So, which among these dark mode features do you most prefer? Black or a muted version of the system's color? Go, guys. Black, dark, okay. Muted dark, muted dark. I see a lot of muted dark. Ikaw, Pia, which do you use man if mag-Twitter ka?
Wala ko Twitter.
Ay, padil kay
I
Twitter,
actually
okay?
have, but Twitter is toxic, so I deleted it.
Ay, I
Mhm.
see, I understand. Prefer na ko siya, pero
But
pwede
if
rin pod black
I
dark.
would
Ay,
mag... Oh, sorry.
lahi pod na siya.
See, if mag-dark mode ko, I use muted version.
Ah. Okay. Muted dark ang pinakadaghan, Pia. So, what is muted dark, Pia?
Appear. Appear day. Ano lang ta appear kay... Or magulat tayo face-to-face her.
So, what is muted dark, Pia?
Okay, muted dark. Muted dark surfaces can express a wider range of color, elevation, and depth because it's easier to see shadows on gray instead of black.
Ooh.
Tama na
Ma-
siya.
Sige.
Okay, for our last question. What do you guys most prefer? The Windows tab icons or the Mac OS tab icons?
Go, guys. Atong tan-awon asa ang mas daghan mga Windows or mga Mac OS pa.
Makita niya mga kuan mga mga
Alam,
rich
makita na
kids.
yung mga rich kids. Ano na
Uy.
makita ng mga rich kids?
Ayaw nila na sila mo chat on niya kay masyado na
Ay!
sila.
Sige, go, guys. Let's see. Windows. Windows. Okay. So, we have a lot of Windows. Okay. Ay, nay, nag-Linux. Palahipod kalian. Okay, so Windows uses icons to graphically represent items such as programs and folders. This is part of Windows GUI or graphical user interface. Icons appear everywhere throughout Windows and are really just pictures that depict the type of items or programs that you want to display. These icons are known as shortcuts or links to frequently used programs, folders, and files.
Okay, next. Let's move on to one of the most exciting parts of the workshop, replicating a website. Let's welcome back our Figma master, Kuya Edwin Bartlett. What website are we replicating, Kaha? A virtual round of applause, please. Round of applause.
Wait, guys,
Virtual
are we
round of
supposed to
applause.
have an open forum first? Or what's the...
No, not yet.
Okay, fine.
Ikaw pa, kuya. Excited na pod ka, kuya.
After by Astoria, joke.
Maapod.
Okay,
Go, kuya.
so I'm back again. Okay, I have a question for you guys. Would you rather see me replicate canvas, like our canvas nga USC, or would you want to see me redesign it from scratch? Isa ka. Ang main purpose ani is to just show you guys basically the flow of like creating a design, a page. So you guys want to redesign. Okay. Okay, as lang it's smooth kay. It's too complicated or something, I don't know. Canvas ang katagalan. Discord already looks fine. Yeah, canvas. So redesign na lang ta. Sige. So let me just make a new page na lang from here. I'll name it canvas. Okay. Then I'm gonna copy Anas akuan like measurements here. So 1920 969. Yeah, 1920 969. Okay. What I'm gonna do first is I'm just gonna copy the canvas layout as a guide. So let me get it set first. Okay. Uh, web capture full page. Okay. So here, I have a copy now of canvas. This is my canvas right now, and let's try to attempt to redesign this. So what I do first, basically, when I create a new design or a new page, is I start with the bigger layers or like bigger sections of the page, and then work into the smaller details. So the first thing, let's try to assess first though, like what's wrong with Canvas right now. Can you guys like chat na lang what you think is what you not like about Canvas? What you hate about it? Or what are your thoughts about it? Sige daw. Too many assignments. True, true. Too wordy, that's right. The blue underlines, that's also true. Very wordy. Yeah. The courses don't fit right. The two won't disappear. Okay, yeah, that's right. Delete useful ang things sa left side. That's true also. Okay. Okay, so based on your answers, commonly it's for the left side, kaning bar kay di kayo siya gamit. Like, do you guys even use this? Because I don't. I think the only thing I use here is aside from dashboard kay inbox maybe. Like sometimes I don't even click any of the other stuff. And then also kaning underlines are really they're too like flashy or something, and it's really unnecessary Jude for me. And also the to do can't be hidden, and then ang napadre gap diri between the files and the to do, and there's too many wasted space in the top. So okay, let's try to make something out of this. So if it was me, what I do first is I change this left navigation bar, like navigation like left side into a top navigation bar. So first of all, I'll make a con here like a container here at the top, and then give it some rounded corners. So maybe 8 would be good. And for the distance between the outside of it has to be divisible by 8. It's my rule. So 24, 32, okay, and then here kay 32. Perfect. And so right side, also make it 32. Or okay, there. And then I'm gonna copy the color of the original one. So I'm gonna click on I and then copy this color. There you go. And then for the font, I'm just gonna use okay, actually if you go to like the website and then inspect, how can I show that? Wait. Okay, but basically if you use your inspect tool on the website, you can actually hover over the font and it will tell you what the font is. In this case, the font is actually uh Lato extended. Okay. I'm gonna use Lato as the font. Okay, mga original. So if I put the text here and then dashboard, then turn this into Lato, and then regular, then make this smaller. Where is it? Okay, let's go with 3240. That's fine to me. So like that. And the distance here, 32. Okay. Now we have our top navigation bar. Ang height day ani niya, make it also divisible by 8, so 80. Okay, like so. Okay. And then we have to put our buttons somewhere. So since we don't use all these buttons, I'm only gonna display the important ones, which is the dashboard, the account, and the inbox, and maybe calendar as well, because calendar is also useful. So for the account, I'm gonna put it in the right side. So I'll create an ellipse here, or press O for ellipse, and then I'm gonna make this the 64, put it on top of here, and 32 away from the side. I'll make this white for now. Might be a bit big as well. Okay. Okay. And then beside that will be our calendar and inbox. So let me pull out the iconifying a plugin and go for, I'm gonna use the PH style and go for inbox. I joke, message or chat. I think it's chat. Okay, there. So we have a chat icon, and also for calendar. Okay. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, you guys can follow along if you want, like in your own Figma workspace. So feel free to follow along with it. Forgot to mention this, sorry. But yeah, okay. I'll be a bit slow for you guys so you can follow if you want to. And for the calendar, I'll drag this one. And then I'll just make this a bit smaller. So 40. And I'll put it here. Then I'm gonna make the color of this white. Yeah, there we go. A distance 32, and from here also 32. And then maybe flip this around. Okay, how's that? Okay, after that, so now we have these functionalities. For the others, I'm gonna put it as an overlay. When I click on the account now button, I'll make it like appear here in the bottom. So for that, I will create an overlay, so a rectangle, and then let's just try to position it here, 8, okay, and then make the corners 8 also, 8px. And for the color of this, I'll keep it white, but then I'm gonna add an effect with drop shadow, make the x and y 0, and the blur to maybe 16 or or 8, 16 lang. And then the color of it, transparency 15 or 10 to do. Yeah. So there. Basically, when I click on this button, I want it to open up the overlay. So in prototype mode, I'll make an interaction, click interaction, and then it's gonna go to navigate to joke. I have to make this a frame first. Okay, frame selection. Okay, and then navigate to uh no, not navigate, but then open overlay, and then the overlay will be, I'm gonna name this to uh options. Okay, open overlay options. There we go. In our options, I'm gonna have the other buttons, right? So plugins, iconify, I'm gonna get out courses, which is like a book or a notebook. Yeah, that's one. And then groups. Oh, there's no groups. Users. Okay, users for the groups. And then calendar, no, history and help. For history, I'm gonna use like a clock. This one looks nice. And then help question mark. Okay, there. And then for the account PUDI, you need a user icon. Okay, perfect. Okay, select all this except for that. We're gonna make the width to 40, tidy it up or distribute spacing, and then whoops, 40, align it, and then tidy up. Okay, there we go. Wait, what? Okay, there. And then I'm gonna put this in the frame na, aning options ng overlay. So actually, the best way to do this is by using the stuff we learned, right? Like components and auto layout. But I'm just gonna breeze through it na lang fast so that you can finish earlier. So I won't use that lang sa for now. So for the user, I'll put that here. And then courses, groups, history, and help. Align it left. And I think it's too big food, so I'll make it maybe 32. Okay, like so. And then I can add the text na pod here. So pound, way too big. Yeah. Pound, duplicate this. Courses, groups, history, and help. And then, okay, I'll use auto layout for this. I'm going to group the icon and label together. So that, group that, group that, and group that. And now auto layout with options. So auto layout. Okay, there, that's better. And then for the padding, you have 24 man, di ba? I'm gonna make the right padding a little bit wider. So to s- to edit the paddings individually, you can click on this button here, and then now you can edit the right padding only, which is this one. So I'll make it maybe 64 or 72. And for top and bottom, it's going to be 24. Okay, there you go. We have our overlay now. And the only thing left to do is to position this properly over here. To do that, go to your interaction, on click, open overlay, options, and then manually position it. So in the overlaying position, click manual, and you can manually put this right here where you want it, like so. Okay, perfect. So if we test this out now, I click on run. Let's see. Okay, here we go. It looks really wide, man, di ba? And the way you can fix this is just by in your options, select fit to width. Okay, fit width, and there you go. So now if I click on the icon for the user, it will open up the overlay now. Okay, and to close it again, you have to actually say here na close when clicking outside. So there. And the animation, you can add also like dissolve, ease and out. Okay, let's try it again. So there you go. You have your overlay now. Diba? Okay. Okay, after that, so what's next? So we have the header and the right side, diba? The header is already together now with the one, the navigation bar. I'll make it a little smaller. Okay, then. So no need now for the header. Let's do the right side na po, kaning to-do list. So for the to-do list, I want to make it a bit more modern. So I'm gonna make a rectangle here. I'm gonna fill basically the entire screen, kind of. But then, ano lang ko to. Because the screen size is actually only up to like here, right? The whole view of the screen. And I want this to fill the view of the screen, but not the whole page. So I'll leave it there lang for now. Make the border radius to 24, maybe 15, or just keep 8 na lang. Okay. And I'm gonna make this also white with effects, so drop shadow, and then for the blur, 16, and then 15. I'm also gonna add a stroke to this, which is a border. Yeah, a border. I'm gonna make it kind of grayish white, light gray. Okay, there. Okay. So our to-do list will be right here. So the first thing we need to do for the to-do list is um, we're gonna use components now for this one. So I'm gonna create a component for a, a task. Okay. So let's say, okay, I'm gonna put a rectangle that's color kind of grayish white also, like very very light gray. Actually, I can even select this color and then just like make it a bit transparent, right? Like mga 5%. There we go. And again, 8 ang border radius. And then inside, we're gonna have, so, diba na yung icon and then the text. So we're gonna find an icon for announcement and assignment. So if I go to plugins, Iconify, and then look for maybe a note, like a note kind of thing, like paper. Yeah, perfect. Make one of these or these. Okay, wait, no, not that. This one, not that. I want to follow the same color, like style. Yeah, this one. Okay, duotones, yeah. So it's black and then like grayish there. And then for the announcement, it's gonna be like a megaphone. Okay, there. Okay, perfect. I'll just resize this to 32 to be what about 24. Okay, there. So first of all, I'm gonna put an announcement one. So I'm gonna flip this actually to make it face the right side. Just make sure that the proportion is the same afterwards, 24 by 24. And then I'm gonna put this in my container, right? Okay, there. It's gonna be the 16 by 16, like that. And beside it, we're gonna have the text, which is like, let's say, announcement. Okay. It's a component man, so I'll just put a placeholder text as announcement. Announcement. Make it a bit smaller. It's good. Make it 20, 20. Okay, there. And then the distance from here would be 15. And below it, di ba na ay kuan description. It's like the course and then the date. So below it, let me move this here actually, so I can see better. Okay. So below it, we have the course, and then below it, the jud is the date. And then just tidy it up. It's going to be 4 pixels away from there, and then 4 from here also. Okay, perfect. And at the top right, we actually need an X button. So on my plugin, go for close or not close X. Okay, there we go. We have a close button now. Make it a bit smaller. And I'm gonna make also a circle over it. So I'll make this 24 siguro and put this inside the circle. Okay, there. Place this right here. Okay. I think that looks decent enough. For the background of this, I'll just make it white there. And the distance, 16. Now let's go for 8 by 8 or 16 by 16. Let's try 8 na lang. Okay. And now I'm gonna use auto layout for this now because as you can see, like if we change the length of this, it won't really respond. So I have to put auto layout on here. So what do I do first? So select everything, frame selection, and then I'm gonna get the properties of the rectangle, Control Alt C, and then paste it on the actual frame, Control Alt V. Now I can delete the rectangle, but our frame will still have the same style. Now I'm going to group the three texts in the middle together. So group. And now if I apply auto layout to this, there we go. Oh, wait, I forgot. You gotta group also the X icon and the circle. So there. And then if I do auto layout here, there you go. Now the distance between them is uh, it's proportional. It's the same now. But what I want is I wanted to have more distance in the right side than the left. To do that, we're going to set the middle na content to a fixed na width. So let's make it like maybe we have to follow man the width of our main container here, which is 354. So for this one, it will be maybe ang width kay this is fine actually. I'll make it a bit longer. Sorry, next second like that. Okay, perfect. And now I can make this into a component. So click on this to create component. And now I can also add a variant to it for for the assignment icon. So add a variant, right click. Saan lang ito? Sorry Hannah.
Sa taas
Oh,
ng
here. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Ayan.
Okay, okay. So mine yung variant and this is the default one. I'll rename this to announcement. And for this one, I'll rename it to assignment. There. So now we have announcement and assignment. And then for the icon of this one, I'll change it to this. I joke. Delete this first and then move this in there. Okay. And there we go. So let's try using this component here in our actual design. If I go to assets and then canvas, there we go, and drag it in here, there. As you can see, it's not, it's a bit like small pa. You need to make it fill up the whole area. So I just edit it here na lang. And then there. So make it fill up the whole area kinda. There. It's a bit better. Okay, it has to be, ideally it has to be exact ha, like dapat kuan sila like the the measurements should be exact, but then since we're not, since we're like making it fast now, I'll just keep it at that na lang. Okay. And then maybe there. Okay. It's 24 by 24, left and right. And now what I can do is I can actually add the content here now. So for example, I'll just copy from my canvas. Okay, this one will be, wait, paste, wait, no, paste here. I don't like underline, wait, hold on. Okay, no, okay, there. And then for the course, it's accounting. So, okay, that's weird. That's because in our component, we actually have to make the text fill the whole container. To do that, we're gonna add another auto layout to the middle nga group. So auto layout this, and then make everything fill container. There. Same goes for this one. So we're gonna make this fill container, and then auto layout, and then fill, fill, and fill. There. So now, there, it adjusted automatically. And for the date, it's actually there. Okay. Problem here is it's kinda, it's the same size, di ba, ang font. Wala siya hierarchy, so I'm gonna make it where the course and the date are actually a bit smaller in a font. So like 18. And I'll make it also a bit lighter in a color. Like so. There you go. And there you go. And then maybe for the title, I'll change it to this color or like bluish no color. And then make it bold. There you go. I like that. What I can do now is I can just copy this and then edit it as I want. So for the second one, we have, it's an assignment. So we're gonna make this component a variant with assignment, diba? Like that. And then copy the course and then the date. There. There you go. So as you can see, the next line siya, but the container adjusted like automatically. So it's all good. And then just like, oops, duplicate this. I'll duplicate this na lang on its own para we can save time. That, and then I have to make this, the distance would be 8 in between, or maybe even 16. Oops, that's the wrong one. Where is it? There. Okay, basta it's 8 na. The only thing lacking here is actually the header of this container. So I can do something simple like, diba originally kay it has to do here in the top and then in the bottom kay recent feedback. You can combine this into one by just creating like a switch or a toggle here. So we can have to do, and at the right side we can have feedback. There you go. And then just make sure it's centered. And we can put like a rectangle at the back of this to say that it's selected. So something like this. And then we're gonna make it a bit grayish. We'll copy this color here. And we have to make it go down a bit. There we go. And then the border radius would be 8. There we go. And then we can also even add a line here to divide it there. And then the stroke will also be the same as this one, which is CCC. Make this 8 by 24. 8. Okay, perfect. And just check this if it's good here and go for 8. Okay, okay there. Let's check what it looks like now. So we have this, diba? Pretty nice and clean. I say so myself. I can even like expand this na lang. Let's make it a bit wider. You know what? Never mind. It's fine. So the next thing to do, I'm gonna group this actually into one because it'll stay there. And then next thing to do is the tiles, diba? So for the tiles, I won't change it too much. I'll just make it a bit more modern. So let's get the rectangle, make a maybe a different kind of shape, like a bit wider. For the radius 8, make it aligned to this, like that, and make it white with effects, back, a backdrop shadow, 16. Okay, there. And then for the coloring a background, I'll make it here at the top, so like that. And then the border radius in the top should also be 8 pixels. So click on this to individually edit it, and then sa top kay 8 and 8. And I'll just take the color from this one. There you go. Looks pretty fine by me. I also put like maybe like a circle here. Kaya di ba Google Classroom has this kind of design, like nice circle with the teacher's face in there. So I'll kind of copy that style. Okay. And then 24. I'll get the color from here and then give it a stroke with kind of like white. Okay, looks nice. Okay. And for the text, we have the the course, the course. It's the course, then the group, and the year. So we have course, group, and year. And then I'm gonna make this into a component so that you can reuse it na pod later. So I'll just put this outside and then napadya tayo icons sa ubos. We have icons, so let me grab a few icons. Iconify. We have the announcement, which is assignment, which is the notes. This one, which one was it? Uh, duotone. This one. And then megaphone. And then you can also do like the folder thing, the files. So this one. And then there is one for discussions. You can do like chat. Okay, perfect. Make these a bit smaller. And tidy it up. Okay, there. 48. Maybe 56. Okay. Then I'm gonna frame this selection and make it into a component. So right click, frame selection, and then component. And I'll name this. I didn't name this actually. This one is task. And this one will be course. Oh, yeah. Now you have to actually apply auto layout to this to make it fill like the whole area. So I'll group these together. Control G to group. And then I'll also group this and this together. And then I'll group icons together as well. Okay. If I put auto layout to the course component, okay, that's fine. You have to set the constraint to top left or like middle left. Top left is fine. Okay. And then the padding would be, I'll add the padding to this na lang manually so that we won't touch this one. So for here, um, auto layout this one also and add left and right padding like so. So we're gonna have 16 siguro or 24 nga padding. And then we're gonna make this fill the container. So there. Same goes for this one, the icons. We're gonna make this fill the container. No, one pa. Auto layout first, and then fill container. There we go. And then we're gonna set the constraints to center. So it's now centered. Also, we're gonna add a bottom nga padding since it's like at the very bottom na jud. So we can add padding like that. We're gonna make it 24. Or yeah, that's fine. For this one, the padding in here is too much for me. So I'll make this 16 or maybe even 8. Yeah, there. And this one can just be like 24 for top and bottom. There you go. That's our component for the course. To use this, you can just go to our assets and then copy the course and paste it here. And now we can edit this as we want. So let me get some samples. Um, let's just go with like something, anything. We have accounting, and the group is like group one, say group one, and then first semester, 2022, 2023. Okay, there. And I can just copy this now. Oops. Copy the component now and duplicate it and make this 32. Just edit it as I want, like just change the colors and stuff. So the next one will be this one, and then do that again. You get the point now. You can like edit it now as you want. Let's say like that and like that. There. Now I can select all this, tidy it up, and I want to make sure that 32 ang distance between all of them. There. I also want to make sure that 32 should be okay, there. Towards 24. Okay. Let's try to see that now what in the prototype in the presentation. So pretty good, right? Not bad. Maybe we can edit the title here to be a bit bigger and stuff, but then it looks kind of decent for me. The only problem is I want the header to be fixed and as well as the to-do list. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put like a container behind this in all white. It will act as like a drawer kind of thing, like Marshall pocket or something. Put it at the very back and make it white. And now I'm going to select this whole area and in the right side, fix position when scrolling. Enable that. So now when I scroll, it will still be in the top. Like it won't scroll together with everything else. The same thing will apply for the to-do list. So I'm gonna make this a bit and we'll make this a bit longer. There, even more. Oops, like somewhere there. And I'm gonna select all of this, group it, and then fix when scrolling. And there you go. That's basically my very speed running redesign of Canvas. What do you guys think, man? Do you like it? Or what can you suggest, pa? Pretty good, right?
After.
That's, yeah, that's basically how you reuse components and stuff and lay out the page. Camera to guys. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Kuya Ted. That's so amazing. Ano na, Pia?
Okay. Thank you so much again, Kuya Ted. So, the amazing budget and in Figma Shia Oy, it's like you're making your own website. Pero you don't have to trouble yourself with programming. Well, at least not yet.
I know, right? Although it's just a prototype, we can literally pour out all our creativity and imagination on how we want our app or website to look like, with the consideration, of course, of the developers and users.
But before we end this workshop, we would like to wait. One ako sa akong one, sorry guys.
Okay, right up, Pia. We all have that. We all have those moments.
So we would like to ask you guys if you have any questions regarding
Yes.
Figma.
We will have an open forum, na guys. Do you have any questions or you want to ask our Figma masters, our masters Hannah and Master Ted? Kasi na may question, guys. Wala ra. Wala ra may question, guys. Ay, mo ka shy, guys. Di ba ito sila mamakak? None so far. Still thinking. Still thinking. Sige, guys. If, uh, yes, someone is raising their hand. Wait, di ko kita. Oh my goodness.
Hey, Jomar.
Okay. Do you have a question for our masters?
Yeah, na ako yung question there. Na ba yung limitations sa paggamit sa Figma? Like, for example, sa Adobe XD, kay na limitations siya. So, how about sa Figma? Like, na mo yung idea, like, unsay like, na limitations sa Figma or you can do everything at Figma, Jud?
Pwede ka mo expound, Jawar? Like, what are the limitations you mean sa Adobe XD? Like, what do you mean?
Masuk ko ako sa um, like, kuhan lang, like, ano na lang, like, unsay naka-advantage sa Figma compared sa Adobe XD? Para lang may bawal na to ba, unsay nakapilde sa Adobe XD and sa Figma? Oh, I think, free trial lang ang kuhan, ang Adobe XD. Like, I like, free trial, like, subscription siya, like, bayad.
I think bayad yun. I think subscription yun ang like tanan Adobe Suite. Can someone confirm if I'm not too sure about that. But I think subscription na usually ang Adobe. Yeah. But so
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I guess ang biggest advantage of Figma over Adobe XD is that wala siya fee. At least as of now, okay, wala siya fee, and then you get there so far like wala kayo limitations on Figma.
Last question, pro ang Figma? Like, umang ko yung Figma good. Like, na siya pro version, like, subscription sad ba? Or free jud na siya gid?
Yeah, actually sa Figma kay um I think there are two types or two levels of sa pro or sa premium. I don't know what's it called, if it's premium or pro. But there are premium versions of it. And then I think the first level of the premium, kay you can already access it with your education plan if you log or sign up with your USC account. So guys, make use Jude of your USC account while it's still valid right now. And then I think there's a second level, murag mao nang pinaka mahal na subscription. I don't think even nga it's extremely like that mahal. But then there are features that are locked, Jude. Are there some features of Figma that can only be accessed? Yeah, just like what I mentioned. Okay, so there's this function when on Figma, you can actually have calls on Figma. Like for example, like you can have audio calls, like you can even listen to music there, and you can even have a timer. So yeah, I think there are functions like kanang for collaborative work, but then simply like for designing interfaces wala ra jud siya like there are no paywalls in the features of designing the interfaces, pero for collaborative features like calls kato mga voting and the timer, the music there are premium features. I hope that was answered.
Thank you for your questions. Wala na yung other questions, guys? So, if there are none na, so guys, we would like to thank everyone Jude for participating sa mga icebreakers and most importantly, this workshop.
Pero guys, don't leave sa. We shall never deny a guest even the most ridiculous request. Let us take this opportunity to have a photo op, guys.
You ready na yung pinakagwapa nga smile, Pia?
Pero what? I think you need to wear glasses na siya.
Pero nag-glasses na ko, Pia.
Kuan ko na. Need pa kang higher grade. Pero bitaw guys, let's take a photo na. Kindly turn on your cams. Don't be
Yes.
shy. Come on, come on.
Don't be
Who
shy,
can take
guys.
the screenshot by the... Pwede
Come
kaka-screenshot,
on, don't
Dad?
be shy.
Yeah, I can.
Sige. Please, go turn on, guys. Go.
Turn on your cams, guys. We want to see your handsome and beautiful faces.
Yee, I can see some na.
No?
Ang nga di magwan ka mo
Hi,
matignaw
Jay.
tar.
Murag kanon na lang
What?
ako dito si Jay.
Joke lang guys.
May certificate sa
Jomar.
dinubanton.
Ay,
Ala, di,
Korean.
wala certificate na hindi mag-onog cam. Wala.
Uy, nga naman na, like, spider sa likod ni Vince. So scary.
Manalain mo, Apag?
Wala na, guys.
Okay.
Sige,
Sige.
guys. In
Pab,
3,
Pab,
2,
Pab.
ay, joke. Just
Fabiola,
say Krabby
tawag ko yung
Patty,
kuya.
guys, ha?
Fabiola,
Shake.
asan? Kuya, kuya. Uy. Hi, Seb.
Kinsay mo
Wala
countdown.
na.
Uh,
Hi,
Ikay mo
Seb.
countdown,
Shy
Tia.
man. Shy man yung uban. Sige na lang.
Mga shy sila.
Okay. Ready na ta? In 3, 2, 1. Say Krabby Patty!
Krabby Patty! Yeah, another post nga
Sige pa.
during the Cisco koan. This one.
Cisco.
Hihi.
Come
Cisco.
on.
Sige, guys.
Okay. Sige. 3, 2, 1. Krabby Patty!
Krabby Patty!
Okay, all good.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah, guwapa
Nice
ko
to
ato.
see you again, Lian.
Guwapa ko
Guys.
ato, Pia. Guwapa ko ato.
So guys,
Ah,
may tawa
sige.
pa ka ato siya. Oy.
Ah,
So guys,
Guys,
our
I
program
galing
has
dito.
finally come to its end. Before we all part ways, we'd like to know your thoughts on this workshop. If you were able to learn a thing or two, or maybe you can give us suggestions for things we can improve on for our future workshops. Kindly check the chat box for the link of the evaluation form. We truly hope that everyone was able to learn and understand how Figma